Some fireplaces, from what I understand, allow heat to escape through the chimney more so than coming into the room. So test yours out. Get one of those chimney sweeper logs, clean it out, make sure your flue and everything works fine. Maybe just get a flashlight, look around, see how things look. Um, Test it out before you need it. You don't want to be experimenting there. Buy some firewood. You want dry, seasoned hardwood. They sell them by the bundle. I usually see them for around $5 or $6 at various stores, Lowe's and Home Depot for sure, but also I see them at grocery stores like Kroger, Meijer, sometimes gas stations and stuff. And you want to make sure it's hardwood. If you've got a Christmas tree, if you've got a real one, you might be tempted to chop that up and use it. I use pine for like a fire starter, but one pine tree, especially a Christmas tree, I'm looking at mine, I still didn't take it down. Um, that's not going to get you very far for one, but also it's not dry, so it's not going to burn very well. And pine is very oily, so and those oils are going to help build up creosote, whatever it's called, and increase your chances of having like the fire that happens inside the chimney. You don't really want that. You want to get nice, dry, seasoned hardwood. Use some pine needles to get the fire started if you want. You can also just use paper. We're not out in the woods. If I'm out in the woods, I use pine. It's great. It burns super fast and easy. It doesn't burn good though. It doesn't burn hot. It doesn't burn for a long time. And those bundles of firewood, they last roughly an hour, give or take. I've timed it more than once. It seems like they last about an hour, pretty consistently. So my house, the amount of heat that it kicks out will keep the house warm for a few hours. Maybe not t-shirt and shorts warm the whole time, especially towards the end of that time. Maybe not even comfortably warm, but warm enough that we're not going to get hypothermia. So test it out, find out what you're dealing with. $6 for 1 hour of heat is high. Find out what you're working with, or if you can maybe get something cheaper. There's also portable heaters like the Mr. Buddy, which I've done a video review on. It does a really good job of heating a small area, like a little shed. My bedroom, it doesn't heat the living room very well. It's just too big of an area. Maybe it would be enough to just keep hypothermia at bay, perhaps, but you want to use it in a smaller room. Those little canisters, uses those Coleman green little propane canisters. Those run, what do they cost? I want to say they're about maybe $3 or $4 per can, and one canister lasts. How long does it last? Depends. It does have settings, so there's low and high. I think on low it probably lasts maybe like 4 hours. On high it might be half that. I don't remember exactly. I probably have to go back and watch my own video to find out, because I don't remember. I have used it a few times, and yeah, I don't remember exactly. 4 hours sounds about right, though. I think that's about how long it lasted me when I was using it. At any rate, that may be an option, and those are pretty available at camping stores, Meijer, Walmart, camping sections of various places, things like that. So anticipate a power outage. If you need to get some stuff like that, or at the very least, blankets. Do all of your laundry, wash all of your dishes, clean up everything, get things organized, know where they are, test them out, get out all your flashlights, make sure they all got batteries that are fully charged. I usually keep flashlights kind of strategically throughout the house, so that whatever room I'm in, whatever floor I'm on, I don't have to go stumbling around in the dark to get to the flashlights. There's one fairly nearby. So keep them nearby. The headlamps are fantastic. Fantastic. If you're anticipating a power outage, and sometimes I am, like if there's a thunderstorm or whatever, I'm like, power might go out, or I've heard other people's power have gone out. Grab your headlamp, put it in your pocket. Put it on, whatever. Look like a dork, you're in your house, who cares? But just stick it in your pocket, stick a flashlight in your pocket, have it. Keep them around, keep the things out, anticipate using them, make your life easy. Get the blankets out, have them nice and clean, folded up, so you've got extra so you can stay warm. Extra hoodies, extra thermal underwear. Get all that stuff out. Get it clean. Have it ready for when and if you need it. What else can you do? So if power goes out and you need to contact people, that's tricky. That is definitely going to be tricky because cell phones may or may not work. Landlines may or may not work. Who even has landlines anymore? Not a whole lot of people. Write down phone numbers just in case. Maybe you are able to contact people. But you might not be able to have access to your phone. Oh, and that's the other thing. Charge up everything. Charge your phone, make sure everything's full. Don't be like me, walking around with a half-dead phone all the time. Charge everything up Friday. But yeah, so the point was, write down important phone numbers, write down anything that you may want or need that you may not be able to access if the power's out. All right, so whatever that may be. Fill any prescriptions, any medications that you need. All that stuff, because you might not want to be able to go out, or not, you might not want to go out, you might not be able to go out, depending on what kind of power outages. I had someone who lives in Colorado, their communications grid, was completely out. They couldn't do anything. Phones, cellular, everything, completely out. They weren't able to fill prescriptions. People weren't able to work. People weren't able to call each other. That happened to them twice, actually, because a line was accidentally cut twice, and it lasted several days. So get all that stuff filled, get everything that you can get, and have some sort of plan. If communication goes down, here's a meeting place or something. Come up with a plan, whatever it is, for the people who are most important to you, you want to be able to communicate with. Worst case scenario, if you have an elder person that you're taking care of, have them come over Friday night and just spend the weekend with you. If you feel comfortable with that. The pandemic does make things more complicated. So you got to weigh your risks there. You know what? I don't know. I can't make that choice for you. But socially distance and figure it out. You got to weigh that, depending on your circumstances. What else do we have? Staying home, power outages. I talked about some self-defense stuff with pepper spray, first aid. Did I mention fire prevention? I can't remember. Smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, the blankets, the fiberglass blankets. They are really easy to use. I think I did talk about fires a little bit, but if you look at a lot of riots and things like that, a lot of times what I see is broken windows. A lot of times it's just a mess, graffiti, and sometimes you do see some fires. And so there's these fiberglass blankets that basically just smother the fire. You just throw it on top of it. They come in different sizes. I bought a small one to kind of just play with it a little bit, and I'll probably order some more, maybe some bigger ones even. They work, in a way they work better than fire extinguishers because they're easy to use. It's literally a blanket. You just throw it on top and it smothers the fire. And especially if we're talking about a grease fire, you may not want to use a fire extinguisher for that. It's really best to just cover it up and smother it, because if you spray, those chemicals come out at a pretty high velocity and with a lot of force, and so you start spraying the grease with this fire extinguisher and you can end up just splattering hot grease everywhere, and now you've got hot grease and fire. Although maybe some of it is extinguished, you're making a mess and you're potentially spreading fire further. So just putting a top on it is really your best bet. But if for some reason you don't have a top or it's not accessible, grab that fire blanket. You know what? I'll go grab it to show you guys. there. It just looks like this. It comes in, there's a lot of different brands and whatnot. This is one that someone recommended to me. She said she actually had a fire and used this particular one, and she recommended it. Tonico. Pretty sure it's made in China. I don't care if it works, whatever. The Chinese need jobs too. So yeah, you hang it up, on a hook or whatever. In case of fire, you grab these two tabs. Supposed to do one in each hand and pull. Basically, there's some Velcro there, and you're just pulling it out, and it's a fiberglass woven blanket, and it's a pretty good size. So this was the small, and you just throw that on top of the fire. It also says that in case of fire, and you need to escape from a fire, get the larger ones. You can wrap yourself up in it, and it'll help prevent you from getting burned as you're escaping that fire. It would also be great to, if you're a camper, bring this to your campsites in case your campfire gets a little out of hand. Throw that on top of it, smother it. So super easy. Look how nice, it just packs right back up. So you can practice with it and everything. Ordered that on Amazon. It was here in 2 days. You've got time to get that. So there's something. And think about the broken glass thing. They like to throw bricks and stuff in windows. How are you going to handle that? Either cleaning it up, keeping yourself from getting your feet cut up or whatever. Imagine the power's out and bricks are coming in through the window.
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy, but now you got to try to clean that mess up in the dark. So just think through that. What's going to work for you? Is it worth the effort to get some plywood and try to board up your windows? I probably wouldn't. Like I said, I haven't really heard a whole lot of talk about communities being attacked. That doesn't mean that it isn't going to happen. I just haven't heard of any plans, any serious plans about that. So you need to weigh that. You can get some plywood and you can preemptively board up your windows. You could just have plywood on hand, cut to the right sizes, where if things are looking crazy, you can hurry up and go and board up the windows as needed. Hopefully you have insurance. But just maybe move valuable things away from the windows. Maybe make sure you're wearing shoes, things like that. Maybe if you're going to be sleeping in the living room because the power is out and you're using the fireplace, don't have your beds right next to the windows. There are options. So everybody's house and layout's different. Everybody's priorities are different. Just think it through. Think it through. What could happen? What should I do if that happens? Make your best decision that you can out of the options that you have available. That's all you can do. But just the important part is to think about it. That's the important part. That's the part that matters. So fires, first aid, some sort of self-defense, stay your ass at home, communication. That's one that I struggle with because your best bet really is to get a ham radio. The problem is, in order to use ham radio, you actually have to have a license. You also have to have some know-how. At this point, I would say it's probably too late. Cell phones are going to be fairly unreliable. Your best bet is to come up with perhaps some sort of calling schedule and perhaps a rendezvous point. So if things get really crazy and we need to communicate with each other, say maybe on the 15s of every hour or any particular hour or whatever your plan is, we can meet up at this rendezvous point at 4:50, say multiples of 4, 4:15, and then 8:15, and then 12:15, 16:15, which I guess would be 4:15 again. So something like that, but come up with some sort of schedule so that somebody isn't necessarily meeting at the rendezvous point and then waiting there indefinitely. They have some kind of idea when people will be there, and have multiple options. And you want it to be someplace that's close, someplace that's safe. Maybe I'll meet at one person's house. Maybe it's away from everybody's houses. You know, a lot of people, if you're into preparing or if you're new to it and you start Googling, you know, how to prepare for emergencies, people always talk about bugging out and like getting out of Dodge and that sort of thing. In this particular case of what's going on, I don't really see that as a solution, and especially if you haven't already made plans for that sort of thing, I don't recommend it. But if that is part of your plan, you may want to make that rendezvous point somewhere like en route to the bug out location. So if you're going to go up north for all this, if things get real crazy, make a meeting point that's like, you know, kind of central and going north. And so you can drive, everybody meets at that one point, you can siphon the gas out of the various cars, all pile into one car and head up north and not have to stop at a gas station. It's not a bad plan. Speaking of which, start putting stuff in your car. All right, so you don't have to go completely crazy with this, but just imagine if for some reason you do need to leave, you work or whatever, Saturday or Sunday or whatever. Definitely, especially if you live someplace like Michigan where it's cold right now, put some blankets in the car, put some food in the car, put some water in the car, put a map in the car, and ideally even a backpack in the car. Whatever medications and stuff that you need. I want you to imagine that you're the farthest place that you're going to be from your house during your trip, wherever it is you're going, and either your car breaks down or there's some sort of riot or protest or congestion to the point where you're stuck there, potentially for hours. Because that does happen. It seems to happen more in like blizzard areas or whatever, but I've personally seen where there's been some sort of accident or something. I've seen this more than once. Horrific accidents that locked down the freeway and cars were trapped for hours. And you can't just sit there and idle the entire time. There's a risk of carbon monoxide. There's also, you may run out of gas doing that. So in case that happens, if it's bad enough, you may need to take off on foot. But more than likely, you just got to wait it out in the car. And you don't want to run the engine the entire time. So have a battery-powered radio. Have blankets so that you can stay warm. I have a little camping stove. I don't normally keep it in the car because I don't want to keep the little gas. I don't want to keep the little gas canisters. I don't want to expose them to the extreme temperatures that the car has. But if I was going to go out Saturday or Sunday or Monday, I might just throw them in there. And so that way you can, like, you know, heat up some hot cocoa, some tea, some oatmeal, things like that. So getting calories inside your body keeps you warm because your body is digesting. And, you know, just like when you're working out, you get warm. Just the process of digesting stuff warms you up. Eating or drinking warm stuff warms you up. And also shivering and just the thermal regulation that we have, that requires energy. And in order to efficiently and effectively keep your body warm, you need calories. So put some trail mix, some M&Ms, some hot cocoa, some tea bags, some oatmeal, whatever. Some sort of food, some sort of drinks, some blankets, again, your first aid kits, some whatever medications. Imagine you're going to be the furthest away from your house for, let's say, 6 hours until you can drive back home. What do you need to do that? In your weather, with whatever conditions you have, with whatever children you have, whatever your situation is going to be, the furthest point from the house. I don't recommend right now planning on walking back on foot to your home, just like getting out of your car and taking off. That's something a lot of preppers talk about, but unless you have been training to do that, that's a bad idea. I'm sorry, it just is. It requires a certain amount, unless you're not far at all. I mean, if we're talking like a mile or less from home, go ahead and walk home. But to carry a backpack any distance, um, especially through snow or potentially through woods, with the added stress of whatever emergency is happening that's causing you to have to do this, Erie. It's probably just the Amazon man. He comes all the time. It's fine. Um, uh, it's very, very difficult. So I really don't recommend it. I don't. Unless you've been training for it, unless you're already physically fit enough, and you know that that's something you can do. It's and plus you don't know what dangers you'll run into by doing that. But by having a map on hand, you may be able to avoid some road closures and congestion. You might find alternate routes home that you might not be able to find, especially if the grid has gone down, all sorts of craziness. Your cell phone might not work for that. But having just like was it Rand McNally Road Atlas, or even just a local map, you can just print out maps of just like your area. If you know you're not going that far, just print out some Google maps of the area, of your city, of wherever you know you're going to be, just that quad or whatever. And you can find some alternate routes and maybe avoid that congestion. Fantastic. At the very least, just be prepared to sit in that car for a long time. What do you need to do that? To survive it, to be comfortable, to not go insane. Pack that in your car. Trying to think, is there anything I'm forgetting? So, unfortunately, this is a two-part video. I was hoping to squeeze it all into one, but my memory card did not allow that. In the first video, I think I've talked about just coming up with a plan, mentally preparing, thinking about what scenarios you're going to be encountering, what you could encounter, how you would react to them, how you should react to them, what you need to do, what roadblocks you're going to encounter that may prevent you from being successful. I've been using the example of Nate cooking in the kitchen and potentially having a grease fire. I could supervise him. That would maybe prevent something from happening in the first place, but I'm lazy and I don't want to supervise him. Rather than just cook my dinner and bring it to me. I could teach him how to use the fire extinguishers and all that, teach him how to use the fire blanket, and that way he doesn't have to panic. If something catches on fire, he just grabs his blanket. This is going to be a lot easier and safer than using a fire extinguisher. Also a lot less intimidating. A blanket is familiar. Everybody knows what blankets are. One of the first things you ever encountered as a baby was a blanket. We know what they are, we're comfortable, they're familiar. You can grab a blanket and throw it on top. Educating him on, teach him how to cook so that he doesn't cause a grease fire in the first place. There's things you can do to mitigate these risks. So that's something that I talked about in the first video, as well as situational awareness when you're out in public. Actually, did I talk about that in the first video? I think I did. If I didn't, I'm going to do a real quick recap again. There's different stages: code white, code yellow, code orange, code red, and code black. You want to be in the right area. You want to adjust your thinking for where you are in that spectrum. So code white is where I'm at right now. I'm in my home, I'm comfortable, we're safe, I'm relaxed. The doors are locked, the dogs are here, alarm is on. This is as safe as I will ever be. This is as safe as I will ever feel, is in my home. Hopefully you feel safe in your home too. Code yellow is as soon as I walk outside that front door, we're at code yellow. Nothing is happening. I'm not in any immediate danger, but I'm just aware that dangerous things could happen. Could be a stray dog running down the street. Could be a car who's driving carelessly. Could be somebody shooting. Could be a bully just coming to push me or rob me or something. The big mean world is out there. I'm automatically code yellow. Code orange is, I like to think of when you're like driving and you see, actually, let's stick with the driving thing. So it's when you're driving, you're automatically at code yellow at the very least, because there's all these cars around you, there's people, there's traffic lights, there's cops. You're just aware, your head's on a pivot, you're aware that something could happen, although you're not in any immediate danger. Code orange is when you see a car over there that's kind of swerving and behaving erratically. Are they distracted? Are they on their cell phone? Are they drunk? Are they on some kind of suicide mission? Road rage? I don't know what's going on, but I see a potential threat. I've identified it. I'm not engaged with it. It's not crashing into me. I'm not in immediate danger, but I'm aware that there's a threat right there. I'm now at code orange, and now I've got decisions to make. Do I speed up to try to pass it and get away with it? Do I turn to get away from it? Do I slow down and just let them stay in front of me and keep my eye on them? I've got options, but I'm at code orange. I've identified the threat, and now is the time to react to it, to prevent, to avoid things getting to code red. At code red, I'm actively engaged. This car is careening towards me, and I've got to evade or brace for impact or something. That's code red. You are engaged, actively engaged with the threat. The house is actually on fire right now. I wasn't able to put it out before when it was just a tiny little grease fire. The whole house is on fire right now. And code black is where you panic. You're dying. You have lost, either due to poor planning, poor equipment, poor whatever, poor training. You're dying at this point. You're losing. I compare this to if you watch UFC fighting and you see the guy doing the ground and pound. He's on top of him. He's just boom, 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 beating the living snot out of that dude. And sometimes they let the fight keep going. Sometimes they stop it. The difference is, when they let the fight keep going, the guy on the bottom, he is intelligently defending himself. He's evading, he's taking hits, but he's covering himself up. He's using his brain, he's using his legs for leverage to try to do something to get out of that situation and defend himself and maybe even launch his own attack or whatever. But when the guy is just boom, 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 just getting the snot beat out of him and just flailing and just kind of, that's when they jump in and end the fight. It's over. You've lost. You're not intelligently defending yourself anymore. That's code black. The guy who's intelligently defending, he's in code red. He's in trouble for sure, but the fight's not over. He can turn around and win it. We've all seen guys turn around and win it from being in that position. Once you're at the point where you're just like here and just boom, 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 taking those hits and not going to say that you're not trying, but you're not intelligently defending yourself. There's no rationale. You're just panicked and flailing. You've lost. There's no way you can recover from that. So they end the fight. And so that's where you don't want to be. Never get to black. Never get to black. Never get to black. That's where training, equipment, planning, all of that prevents you from getting to black. That's the whole goal. You can't avoid emergencies necessarily. You can't prevent all emergencies. You can prevent yourself from getting to black. Red sucks. Red's not the end of the world. Black is the end of the world, or at least your world. And then I talked about carrying some sort of self-defense stuff. Preferably, if you've got a firearm, fantastic. Right now, you've only got 4 days to basically get your stuff together. So that's not enough time to get a firearm, to get trained with it. The prices and shortages of ammo, you're out of luck. If you don't have a firearm already, you're probably not going to be able to get one and for it to be useful. Pepper spray is going to be your friend. Pepper spray. It's pretty effective. It's not perfect, but it will buy you time. It'll get you distance, and it'll give you something to work with. More importantly, carry some first aid stuff on your person. Carry a little bag, carry a little purse, have some first aid gear, have some pepper spray, have whatever you think you need in case something crazy goes down. Stay home, get some stuff, be prepared for power outages. Stay warm, stay well lit, stay entertained during a power outage. Plan for about 5 days with no power at the very least. Have food. I should have mentioned that right. Make sure you've got enough food. You don't want to be going out to the grocery store. Have your medicine. Water is a good thing that you want to have. Lower priority. I haven't heard anything to lead me to believe that our water is going to be at risk, but it's just good practice to keep water, store extra water if you can. Get food first, get medication first, get first aid equipment, lights and batteries first. But if you have all that, and if you have an easy way to store a bunch of water, that's a good plan. You can't go wrong with that. Do not store your water in old milk jugs. Don't store it in old juice jugs. Don't store it in bottles that used to hold harsh chemicals. That's all no good for various reasons. Plastic is very absorbent, and it holds on to things. So it'll hold on to those chemicals. It'll hold on to the sugars and bacteria in the milk and in the juice and in the soda. And if you're storing water, especially long term, that's not going to be very good. If you're only storing for a couple days, especially if you put it in the refrigerator, might taste a little weird. Milk and juice, anyways. Still, don't put it in like a little Drano container. You'd probably be fine. Might just taste or smell a little bit weird. But long term, not refrigerated, don't do that. Either buy water in its own containers or jugs, or use glass, or use something else. So store some water, store some food, store some batteries, get all that stuff ready. Plan on the power being out for a few days, starting Saturday. Stay home. I'm trying to just do a little recap here, and I don't remember what else I talked about. I think I covered everything, though. If you have any questions, leave some comments. Please like and subscribe. Share this video with anybody who you think needs it. Welcome to the lovely world of prepping. You are late to the party, but you're not too late. There's always something you can do. There's never, there's always a little bit you can do to make yourself a little bit better off than you were 10 minutes ago. Every little bit helps. If you are just catching this video, there is a video that I made before this. That was the first half. It ended up being longer than I expected. So it is what it is. I'm Chris. This is Ready to Die Fighting. I put out videos every week-ish. I've been slacking lately, admittedly, but I try to do it every week with my son, Nate.
Hi.
And our two puppies, Erie and Chala. And we do prepping. We put a big focus on self-defense, on physical fitness, and also just drilling and training more so than stocking up. I usually this is the most political I'll ever get. I keep the politics out of it because to me prepping is fun and I want to keep it that way. We're all about the outdoors and building skills and having fun, being fit, and learning to defend ourselves. He wants peanut butter and jelly. Fine. Thanks for watching, and good luck, everybody. This is going to be a wild ride for a few days. I hope to see you all when it's all over. Stay positive. Stay safe.